I never thought death would come for me at 15, but when my heart stopped, I discovered something beyond this world, an encounter so real it changed everything forever.
My family life wasn't perfect, but it wasn't terrible either. My parents had divorced when I was 9, and while that had been rough, they still managed to get along for the most part. I lived with my mom and my little brother Ethan during the week. Mom was a nurse, always tired, always juggling too much, but steady as a rock. On weekends, Ethan and I went to Dad's house. He was more practical, the skeptical type, but he cared for us in his own way. Life was ordinary, routine, predictable. That Saturday, the weather report promised clear skies, so my best friend Maddie and I decided to hike Eagle Ridge Trail. We packed snacks, joked about teachers, and talked about crushes. It was supposed to be one of those carefree teenage afternoons where the world feels big but safe. About 2 miles up the trail, my chest began to feel tight. I had mild asthma, but I'd used my inhaler before we started, so I thought it would pass. This was different, though. Heavier, sharper, like something pressing down on me from the inside. I told Maddie I needed to rest. I sat down on a rock, trying to breathe, but the pressure only grew worse. The world spun, and then everything went black. The next thing I remember wasn't pain, but freedom. It felt like floating in a pool, except there was no water, no weight. When I looked down, I saw Maddie kneeling beside my body. She was crying, shouting into her phone, her hands pressing down on my chest. I tried to speak, to tell her it was okay, but she couldn't hear me. Watching her struggle broke my heart, but at the same time, I felt strangely calm. My body was there on the ground, but I wasn't there anymore. A gentle pull drew me upward, like someone had reached down into that moment and was guiding me home. The trees, the dirt path, Maddie's panicked cries, all of it faded as light began to fill the air. Not blinding light, not harsh, but warm and beautiful, like sunlight passing through stained glass. Colors shimmered all around me. I moved forward, no, upward, through what felt like a tunnel. And for the first time in my life, I felt completely safe, as if every fear, every worry I'd ever had melted away. The tunnel opened into light more beautiful than anything on earth. It wasn't just light, it was love, alive and embracing me. And standing in that light was Jesus. I'd only gone to church with my grandma on Christmas and Easter, and I'd never thought much about God. But the instant I saw him, I knew. Not because he looked exactly like the paintings or Sunday school pictures, but because his presence was undeniable. He was tall, radiant, his eyes holding more love than words can describe. His face was kind, yet powerful, like he saw everything about me, every thought, every failure, and loved me anyway. When he spoke, his voice wasn't booming, but gentle, clear, and it went straight into my soul. "Brooke," he said. Just hearing him say my name made me cry, not from sadness, but from release. It was as if I had carried a heavy weight all my life without realizing it, and now it was gone. "Am I dead?" I asked. "Your body is between worlds right now, but I wanted to speak with you." He reached out his hand, and when I took it, waves of love washed over me. In an instant, my life unfolded before my eyes. I saw myself at 8 years old helping an elderly woman pick up groceries she'd dropped. I saw myself giving away my lunch to a homeless man. I saw the moments when I sat beside a crying girl in the school bathroom. But I also saw the darker parts, gossiping about friends, snapping at my little brother, lying to my mom. Every moment was laid bare, yet his love never wavered. He loved me not for what I had done or failed to do, but simply because I was his. Then his expression grew more serious. He said, "There is something I need you to see, something you must understand and share." The light around us shifted. Suddenly we were standing on clouds looking down at what seemed like a living map of Earth. Jesus gestured with his hand, and below us unfolded the first vision. I saw oceans rising, storms swelling with ferocity I had never imagined. Cities I recognized, Miami, New York, Tokyo, were swallowed by water rushing through their streets. People screamed, ran, clung to rooftops. I could feel their fear. Tears filled my eyes as I whispered, "All those people." Jesus spoke softly. The earth groans as creation strains. What you are seeing is the acceleration of climate patterns. The waters will rise faster than expected. But look closer. Amid the chaos, I saw strangers helping strangers. Churches became shelters. Nations once enemies worked together. People opened their homes, shared food, prayed together. In great trial comes unity. Hearts will turn toward one another, and in that turning, many will also find me. The vision shifted into the second. This time, entire cities went dark. Blackouts spread like falling dominoes. Phones, computers, everything electronic went dead. Panic surged, people shouting, searching, confused. Jesus explained, "The systems man has built have become both tower and crutch. A time will come when they will falter. What was built on pride will be humbled."
Yet again, light shone in the darkness. I saw families leaving their houses, neighbors meeting for the first time, sharing food, playing music, telling stories by candlelight. Children played outside, free from screens. When the lights of man go out, Jesus said, my light shines brighter. Many who could not hear me through the noise will find me in the silence. The third vision came, and it was the hardest. I saw a new sickness spreading across nations, not like COVID, but something different, something darker. People pulled away from one another in fear. The air felt thick with suspicion. But beneath the illness itself, I sensed something more sinister. Fear being used to divide and control. A new illness will emerge, Jesus said, but the greater sickness will be fear. Some will use it to separate my children, yet even here, hope will break through. And I saw it. Doctors and nurses working tirelessly, neighbors helping each other, people praying not in churches alone, but in homes, parks, hospitals. A wave of prayer spread across the world. It is not the disaster that defines the time, Jesus said, turning his gaze on me, but how hearts respond. Some will turn from me in anger. Others will turn toward me and discover I have been waiting with open arms. He then led me to a wall of radiant light. Within it were millions of golden threads glowing and intertwined. These are prayers, he explained. Watch what happens when one person prays. He touched the thread and light rippled outward, igniting countless others. This was your prayer for Zoe, he said. My eyes widened, but nothing changed. She's still struggling, I whispered. Nothing you could see, he replied gently. He showed me how that prayer had given Zoe strength to endure, had stirred her mother's heart to check on her, had inspired her counselor with the right words. My prayer had reached across lives in ways I never imagined. A single sincere prayer creates ripples across dimensions you cannot see, Jesus said. In the times coming, prayer will not just be important, it will be essential. I wanted to stay with him forever. Please, can I stay? I asked, my voice breaking. He touched my cheek with such tenderness. This is your true home, and one day you will return. But your purpose is not finished. You must be a light. Share what you have seen, not in fear, but in hope. Many will face these times afraid and alone if voices like yours do not speak of what lies beyond the suffering. I cried, not wanting to leave. He embraced me, his love pouring into every broken part of me. Even when you cannot see me like this, I am always with you. Now that you have been here, a part of you will always remember the way home. And then, like being pulled backward at incredible speed, I felt pain rush into my chest. Sirens wailed. A paramedic's face hovered above me. We've got a pulse, she shouted. I was back. I spent 3 days in the hospital. Doctors called it a miracle that I survived 4 minutes without oxygen, with no brain damage. They implanted a device to shock my heart if it stopped again. They saw medicine. I knew I had seen more. At first, I was afraid to tell anyone. But one night, I told my dad. I thought he'd dismiss me, but instead he grew quiet. Then he said he'd once had his own experience after a car accident in college, something he'd never spoken about. Tears filled his eyes as he admitted he had spent decades trying to fit back into ordinary life. My story awakened something in him. When I returned home, everything looked different. The sky was brighter, colors sharper, Even my brother's loud video games didn't annoy me. I noticed people, the cashier's tired eyes, the neighbor struggling with her trash. My heart softened. I told Maddie everything. She cried, saying that she had prayed desperately while giving me CPR. I realized her prayer must have been one of those golden threads I'd seen. Soon I started a small group in our basement. At first, just Maddie and 2 friends. Then more came. Our neighbor, my classmates, people looking for hope. We talked about life, about preparing hearts, about love. We prayed together. I don't share everything with everyone. Some aren't ready. But I know now my purpose is not to scare, but to point people toward love, community, and faith. If you are afraid of the future, please hear this. What I saw is not the end of the story. Love is stronger than any storm, any blackout, any illness, any fear. Supplies matter, yes, but what matters most is love. Stockpiling compassion, building connections, seeking God. When the waters rise, when the lights fail, when fear spreads, love will save us. Maybe you felt fear about the future or wondered if love really survives the storms ahead. Hear me. Love is stronger than death, stronger than fear, and it's reaching for you right now. The message I carried back from that light is simple. You are not alone, and hope is closer than you think. If this story stirred something inside you, don't let it fade. Subscribe to this channel for more stories that awaken faith, courage, and love.